Sometimes the people we trust the most shape our lives in ways we never saw coming. A single word from a friend can feel like a promise, solid and unshakable. But promises can fail. The perfect match can reveal cracks and shadows. You hold on for family, for tradition, for faith, yet the weight promises harder every day. You walk away chasing peace, but the pull drags you back. With each return, the crack shows grow wider. When loyalty collides with truth and love is tangled with doubt, the question isn't just to stay or go. It is, how much can you endure? And when is enough truly enough? Hello, my lovely people. Hello, my delicious. Welcome back to another thrilling episode of season 1 of your favorite counseling show, Hello Delhi, where your anonymous, exceptional stories meet heartfelt guidance from your intentional counselor, Delhi Singer. Be rest assured that your privacy is our top priority, because here, confidentiality isn't just a promise, it is a way of life. Let these reminders guide us today in this conversation, so as we seek healing, comfort, and the answers that we truly need.
Hello, hello, hello. Audience, Delhi. Hello, hello. Tune in now, no delay, no delay, no delay. Hello, Delhi.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just about time for us to delve into our case for today, where this young woman is trying to seek solution to her many questions. She writes, "Greetings, Mommy Integrity and the Delicious. Thank you for this platform, Mommy. I followed you for a while, but didn't have the courage to write. Yesterday, after watching the show with my friend, she encouraged me to send in my own problem. Please hide my ID, Mommy. I have been married for 7 years and we have been blessed with 3 beautiful children. I was married to a man that was proposed to me by my friend. She told me that the man is a good friend of hers and they have known each other since childhood. She said we will make a good relationship and that this guy is very lively, and since I am calm, we will make a good match. So I accepted without much consideration because I trusted my friend. This is 7 years now, Mommy, and I'm married to a chronic cheat. Apart from the fact that he provides for his family, he cheats with anything in skirt. Even in my presence, I see how he looks at other women. His phone is full of pornographic videos and pictures of women. He spends his time on phone and calls. I used to think the issue is me because I don't give him all the styles he wants, but I never refuse him sex. But I realize even if we do it all day and week, he will still go out and cheat the next day. I've prayed and prayed, Mommy, but things are getting worse. I've left my marriage 4 times and the family will come back and beg again. And when I go back, it becomes worse. I am seriously considering divorce, and my friend advised me to come to you and hear what you can say. When is it okay to leave marriage? Because my family and his keep saying I should not leave my home. Even church people say that God hates divorce, and I cannot continue like this. Help me, Mommy. Even church people say that God hates divorce, and I cannot continue like this. Help me, Mommy." Of course, I'm here to help you. What an intriguing case from an amazing sister. We have loads of layers to crack down and dissect. When we come back, we'll delve into the nitty-gritties of this case. Don't touch that down.
With money facts, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Moment of truth, where we get to dissect each party of this particular exceptional case and see how we get into the solution bit as well. So we have 5 different persons to talk about today, and we'll start, of course, the key people in this particular exceptional case. We start off with the wife, who is the victim, and she's emotionally and psychologically affected. We move over to the husband, who is a chronic unfaithful spouse. Then, of course, we can talk about the children, who are directly or indirectly affected by this home or this kind of environment. And then extended family and the religious community, and all of this, we'll be talking about it. Let us start with the husband that has been described as a chronic cheat again by the sister that has brought this case to us. When we talk about cheating, especially in this dispensation, a lot of people we just water it down. We laugh over it. We play around it. And it feels like it's a must-have. It has just become a way of life of a lot of people. I do not want to say everybody because not everybody is cheating. But then it's so rampant. And because it is rampant, usually when something is rampant, people start thinking it's okay, it's okay to do it. It's okay. I mean, everybody is doing it. I might as well do it. But I want us to look at cheating for what it truly is. Picture this scenario. You're married to somebody, and that is your partner that you get intimate with. You're not necessarily married to that person, even in a relationship, because of course these things happen. But I like to talk on marriage because of course that's the right institution that we can properly address cheating in. And this person, a man or a woman, in this case it's a man, but let me talk about it holistically. A man or a woman goes out there, steps out of the marriage. When that happens, automatically you are open to, your body is open, your soul is open, and your spirit is open. And because of that, your partner becomes vulnerable to whatever it is you have opened the marriage to. Apart from that, you have broken the covenant of marriage, the sacredness of that institution. Because yes, marriage is a sacred institution that is not just about a man and a woman, but it involves God. And in this case, not just about a man and a woman and God, but they're beautiful and lovely kids that are there. Now you begin to picture a scenario where your partner steps out. You're thinking of and imagining the fact that your partner goes, smooshes, kisses, exchanges saliva, exchanges different fluids. The thought of that in your mind, it's so psychologically damaging that I think people really underestimate. The thought of you having another person on top of your partner or underneath your partner, and you still having to embrace that partner fully. Most often, you're not even having the time to process all of that, the psychological damage, the disaster it has on your emotions. I mean, this is just maybe a one-off cheating. And you begin to see all of that for what it truly is. The thought of the betrayal, the fact that it's hard to pick up again and start trusting this person again, all from scratch. It is as difficult. How do you begin to exchange the saliva again? How do you begin to embrace them with eyes closed? How do you begin to deal with them again without having to look over your shoulder all the time? I think we should insist on the downsides. In fact, I don't want us to look at the possibility of having the positive sides of it, because there shouldn't be. It should be condemned every chance we get. Now, this is what we're dealing with, and much more. But like I said, You've opened your body, your spirit, and your soul to not just this physical exchange, but of course, and for the most part, spiritual exchanges that are far reaching. You have broken the protective cover, and especially if it is the man, you've broken the protective cover of your family because, again, anything can come in from there. Now, the bad part about it is contagious. Sometimes we talk about it and be like, okay, it's just the man. The thing is, when men begin to open, who are the leaders, and they have broken that seal, and anything can come in, the women become vulnerable and so contagious to these cankerworm. And that is a setup that kids have to be in. I'm just starting, but this is how important this topic of today is. Now, we're not just talking about a one-off thing, we're talking about constantly giving your body to outsiders when you have somebody you are in covenant with. Giving your body to outsiders when you have vows that you have made towards somebody. It is as damaging as it can get. Now, our sister says her husband is a chronic cheat. The part about cheating is it's okay when we hear everybody is liable to temptations. And when we face temptation, some people fall, some people stay. But then, when you face the temptation and you fall, it's okay to come back and you say, you know what, this is where I faltered and where we can start off again. And both of you can pray, hold your hands, and go for the necessary therapy and all whatnot. But I'm talking about unapologetic, unrepentant cheating, where it is not just about I was tempted and I fell and I am sorry about it. It is I am doing this with my full chest and there's nothing you can do about it. I cannot overemphasize on the repercussions of that to your partner. I cannot overstate the implication that has and the damaging effect it has, especially to the emotions. Because sometimes people never heal from that. People never come back from it. It is as bad as it can get. So when you are dealing with a chronic cheat, it just tells you there is a chance that anything can happen from life to death and from death to more death. That's how bad cheating is. But like I said, because we have so pampered it and tolerated it, it gets worse by the day. Let's talk about not just the sexual implication of it. Oh, it is okay because if it were just to be about okay, they've had sex, which of course that is grievous, but if it were just to be about that, we would look at ways around it. But like I said, it's opening your entire family to untold harm that we, for the most part, we downplay. The next thing I want to highlight is the fact that he cheats with everything in spirit, in her words. Even in my presence, I see how he looks at other women. Now let me say this, because it looks as if I'm a bit too hard on cheating. Well, of course, I can't pamper that because it is wrong in every meaning of the word wrong. Let me tone it down a bit, okay? A lot of men cheat. Not every man cheats. But then there are loads of men who cheat. And as much as I would not want to put respect and cheating in the same sentence, permit me or allow me use it in this case. There are lots of men who will cheat and you will not dare tell their wives and they believe it. Do you know why? Because somehow they have a respect that these men would accord. I put that in quotes because how do you find respect and cheating in the same sentence? But let's flow with that. There is a respect that these men would accord their wives, or let's say their partners. There is a level of respect that the side chick in question will dare not show her face. That she knows her limit to the point where though you would kill the wife before she believes that her husband can do such a thing. Now this is, let me say, the lesser evil in these cankerworm that we're trying to dissect. Side chicks are as bold, as confident as the man is tolerating. Because it is only a side chick who has had the accord or the laissez-passer of the husband that would dare to look at a wife in the face and talk back at her and even throw their amorous affairs in the wife's face. It is only a side chick who has had so much guts from this particular husband that would dare to do the nonsense of challenging a wife. And so I go back to what I was saying. There is a limit to some of these things, or the things that we can do, we can put boundaries to it. And as much as cheating is, of course, I've already categorically stated that, but one thing I would assure you, there is a way you do wrong and people cannot even believe it. Not giving a pass to it, but just saying, in this lady's case, he cheats and throws it at my face. And even in my presence, the way he looks at other women, that is how low this partner has gone to mess up with the emotions of our sister who has come crying. Let us talk about the underlying factors that will play with cheating, because I will not do so much justice to this topic. We do not look at the possible reasons why some, let me use that word, some men are cheating. The society has so tolerated this, and this is one of the factors. When you hear that if somebody is cheating, it is no longer alarming. It is now, okay, how many women, how many men, how many times? One time cheating is one time too many. Because when we do not call it for what it is and insist on the fact that it is not meant to be done, you find yourself in one and the second and the third and the many more times that you will get into. That is what I'm talking about. It is because society is lax with it. We're tolerant with it, and especially the African setup. Oh, it's cheating is a man's thing. And that's how we have coined that and made it such an appealing thing that even men who dare to keep themselves will start wondering if they're in error. Childhood trauma. You're in a setup like this, and a father of a house who is meant to be the leader spearheads cheating. Matter of fact, he's cheating unrepentantly. He is chronically cheating. He is into it, body, spirit, soul. And the children are watching. Again, I said in the last episode, children don't necessarily listen to what we say. They follow what they see us do. So you can do all of this and you come and tell your kids, I don't want you to do this, don't get into this. But they've seen you. They've seen their mother crying. They've seen their mother lamenting. They may be on rare occasions seen the side chick come to banter words with their mother. They see these things. And sometimes you think that they've seen it and they will not practice it. No, that is a lifestyle that will become their reality when they eventually get to adulthood. The childhood traumas. And so when you start seeing somebody who is overly doing whatever it is, check their childhood. It might be coming from there. They might be screaming for help and saying, this is what I've faced all my life, this is what I've seen, this is the only part I saw from my father as far as relationship or marriage is concerned, and I'm replicating that. Childhood traumas. And so we want to look at these things too. The cultural hypocrisy, where it's okay for men to cheat, but then it's condemned for the women. I have said it is zero tolerance for cheating. So I'm not in any way giving a pass to any of the genders. What I'm saying is that because it is looked at as a positive thing, and when a man does it, it looks like, okay, this man has some rash, this man has some guts, this man has the courage to do it. It is praised for the most part. And especially in our African setup where polygamy is a thing, people just guise adultery as polygamy. And then we just flow with that narrative. But the two, I hope that I get time in subsequent episodes to talk about the difference between adultery and polygamy, which of course a type of marriage. We can talk about reinforced habits. You see, there's such a thing about mentorship that is missing. If mentorship is missing in the life of a man, there is a high probability that this man would live a frivolous life. Why? Because there is no boundaries. There is nobody who is saying, you know what, you cannot do this, and there are repercussions to it. There is nobody who says, if you dare to do it, this is what you would face as consequences. So because there are no consequences, they don't find it any necessary, or they're not under any pressure to stop. To them, oh well, nobody can. I'm the alpha and the omega as far as my marriage is concerned. But when you see men who have mentorship, leadership authority, where even if the woman cannot sway them out of something, their authority, maybe just their fathers, maybe just their spiritual authority, or just some other person who has been in that institution of marriage and they look up to, can talk to them and say, stand here and stand. When you see people who do not have such authority, there is a high chance they will get into adultery. We can talk about it. Consequences, lack of it. You cheated the first time, I tested, nothing was wrong. You went away with it. You didn't face any consequences in terms of maybe the natural ones that you would just face. Nobody punishing you. I'm talking about sicknesses. You don't see them. Okay, there's a protection that I use, so okay, I can get away with it. You're not being caught. Those are the reasons why some people keep cheating, because they've not been caught. Maybe they've not been held bound by a disease. So to them, they do not see the spiritual implication of that, and it's easier for them to keep at it. It's a lot, but then some people are just resistant and adamant to change. They will not stop doing it regardless of how much you scream and shout and wail or wallow. This is the case that we are dealing with. But let's keep at it. I just had to talk about the reasons why a lot of people, men and women, are cheating nowadays. Again, another important thing, you didn't mention that he provides most of what you need. I love a providing man. I love a man who understands his responsibility as far as a marriage is concerned, that he is the main provider of his home. However, one thing we must understand, that a man provides does not in any way usurp the position of your peace in marriage. It does not in any way replace the loving kindness he is meant to give as a husband. It does not in any way give you a pass to, okay, I've given this and might as well take away that from you. That is one of the things. Now, a lot of women find themselves in this position. And like I always say, sometimes you cloud your judgment. Oh, he has provided. Oh, he buys me all of this. Even in cases of violence and stuff, you see some people would sit in there because of the benefits that they stand to get. It is his responsibility, and it is your right as the wife and the kids to benefit off of that responsibility of his. It is not at his convenience. It is not to take off the other things he is meant to do as far as marriage is concerned. Is a necessity. It is your right as a wife and as kids to benefit off of what it is the man has to provide. So those are the different things. I had to just quickly put that in, because this is one of the reasons why a lot of women would stay in very toxic setups. Let's look at her. He said his phone is full of pornographic videos. I hope this does not get flagged anyways. With pornographic videos and pictures, and you're always on calls. Typical. When we start talking about cheating, like I said, this cheating is in categories. One is not better than the other, just so we know it is as bad as it is as bad. However, the consequences of one could be far-reaching. When a man has cheated and repented, it's different from a man is continuously cheating, and it's equally different from a man is a chronic cheat with a touch of pornography. Pornography is a step further. Now, one of the things I hope that this episode would permit me and for me to talk about that I think a lot of people, like I said, I'm not just talking to this man or the man or these women, there are loads of you listening who would benefit off of this. Pornography is not just a physical thing you see. Matter of fact, it is more spiritual than even physical. Now, the trick about pornography is that those people you see doing whatever it is they're doing are acting. These are actors. These are people who are under camera ready action, and they will do all of these things. These are people who live off that, and so they would do that for the benefits of it. Now, you who's patronizing that, one of the things you fail to understand is it becomes addictive. When you start watching one, you want to watch the other. You want to watch the next, and you start watching. You start seeing things that they creep into your spirit because you're watching it and loving what you're seeing. It's crept into your spirit, and before long, you want to practice that. You want to replicate it. And even when you use your spouse or your partner to do that, it is not enough because it's a plethora of styles, of things that you have seen, and one person is not enough. Because it is not one person you were watching, you watch so many of these actors. And because it is in your spirit, your body would want to play it out. And before long, it's an addiction that you cannot pull yourself out of it. And so the dangers of pornography are far-reaching. It is as dangerous as the word itself. And so when you start having to cheat and get to the level where a woman out there does not suffice, you still have to take a phone, whatever device, and watch it, go to these different sites, see all of these things. It is clear indication that your spirit man is contaminated. And it is going to require much more than just deleting those videos to get your sanity intact. Again, your husband is clearly living life on his terms. So he is unapologetic about what he's doing. But sadly, his decisions are not just affecting him, it is affecting the next person we'll be talking about, which are the kids. I already made mention of the fact that childhood traumas are a thing. And most often, the spouses or the people we get married to, we tend to face their childhood traumas and dramas indirectly. We don't understand that that's what is happening. And so you're with a partner, this partner is just all crazy and doing all of the wrong things. And you can't place your hands on it. Matter of fact, sometimes they don't even understand that it is the childhood traumas that they are actually facing and reliving. That has become their new normal. Because when trauma spans or stays for too long, it becomes a lifestyle and you're normal. Sadly, you don't want it, but you cannot help yourself. This is what these children are stuck in. And for the most part, you would hear women, we do that all the time. When it's toxic, you hear a woman who say, I'm staying in this marriage for my kids. While I understand the sacrificial aspect of that, I equally want us to look at the fact that there's a reason to leave for the sake of the kids. One side is sacrificial, where yes, there's hope of revival, where yes, we can fix this thing again, where yes, it's a matter of time and everything will be fine. But on the other hand, it is rather a disservice to these children who are seeing that as the perfect example or setup of marriage. So sometimes you would leave because of the children. Because it's not always I have to. Because when the children see that, I already mentioned, it's a matter of time. And it will replay in their own marriages. So these kids are faced. Sadly, they can't speak. Sadly, they cannot understand properly what is happening. Sadly, they can't even help. But they're stuck in that toxicity. And before long, it is their way of life. Let's look at your friend. Interesting friend indeed. I'm amazed by how much she's been there. But again, I want to salute the fact that friends are out there who are still single and they can pair you up. We do matchups, we pair up. We love to do it because, of course, it's a thing. So this friend is, I would say, a good friend who is looking out for her friend. So you think about it. But the thing about it is that she would only pick a spouse for you based off of her own value system. She just looked at you and she thinks, okay, you are calm, your husband is hot. And so that makes the perfect combination. That's how it's compatibility. But it doesn't always work like that. Again, she would look at it based on her own value system, like I said. She likes this kind of man. And because this person has been more of a friend and a brother to her, she's thinking, I might not have this person. So how about my friend? And so that's her own basis. However, when the matchups is done, it is only the first thing. Just like when we match you up, that's the first stage. And the chunk of work is yours to do. So it does not suffice for anybody to blame your friend. Why? She did what a good friend would do. It is your responsibility to vet this person. And you can only vet somebody based off of your value system, your deal breakers, the things you would not allow or tolerate as far as relationship is concerned. How do you do that? You would have known yourself what you want in a spouse, what you can't take, what you can take, the things you admire. And so if somebody is proposing, it is your place to say, I will not go in for this. Why? Because this man, as handsome and charismatic as he is, there's still some things on my boxes that he does not tick. And even if she deliberately, like I said, did that, guess what? It was your place to do all the checks and the balances and still say yes or no. Because when people bring you together, it's not a gunpoint. It's your own place to say, because you're an adult, you're not a kid. And so you are meant to say yes or no, and your choice will still be legit. Let's look at the community. This community, I love the community. The thing about Africans is we don't marry individuals, we marry a family. And that's why when you're married into a family, for the most part, your sister or your brother cannot go into that same family to pick a spouse. On very rare occasions, and of course, this family is going to be drama. Even when that is about to happen, it will be drama. And so the community is always very available, and they are willing to give in their opinion whether or not unsolicited, solicited, they are there. Why? You married an entire family. And so when anything is going right or wrong, they are there to celebrate with you or to defend or to fight. So this is Africa. So we understand that, So that's why your family would say, go back to your home. You said you left 4 times and your family and his came to, that's what they're meant to do. Sadly, they don't understand your pain as much as you do. It is a default position for Africans to tell you, marry not die hard. Go back for your master house before another woman enter inside your master. Like I said, thumbs up to them, but on the other side, there should be that balance, just so that we can see the positive responsibility that this family will contribute. But then again, like I said, they do not understand. When a punch is given to you, you are the one who feels it to the core. It is your vows that was directly violated and broken. They are only assuming, and no matter how much you explain, they would only imagine the reality of what you are facing. Let's talk about the church side of it. God hates divorce. It's the default position of the church to say that. And as a Christian, I understand that. And as a Christian as well, talking to you, I get that. And for a fact, God hates divorce. And why does he hate divorce? Because God uses the institution of marriage to describe his relationship with you and I. He says that he is the groom of the church and we are the bride. So there's that marital relationship, that bond that is there. And if God would love divorce, what he is teaching us is that we might as well break up from the church as Christians. We might as well just, no sacrifice, no enduring, no patience, no tolerance. That's what God would be teaching us if he does not hate it. But again, like I always say, to strike a balance, just so we don't cherry pick scripture and quote just the ones that we feel okay with, that covers for our excesses. It's always easy for adulterers to say God hates divorce. God hates adultery too. He hates lies telling. He hates cheating. He hates toxicity. And all of these things I'm listing and more, they have scriptures tied to it. Sometimes even much more than the scripture of divorce you're talking about. And that God hates something does not mean it's not going to happen. I'm not an advocate for it, but I always say that it's an option. Just so we know, church folks would say that, but there should be a balance and a limit to whatever it is that has to be tolerated. So no, and yes, God hates divorce, but He equally hates all of the vices that you do and expect your partner to be tolerant of them. It's these many things that we can talk about from that angle. But then again, let's move over to this amazing lady who has brought her case. I always like to talk to the anonymous contributor because at the end, because it's all of these other people you want to keep at the side and come to talk to her. Let me start off again. I always salute the vulnerability of every person who mutters the courage to come for counseling. I love to do that because some people would rather die than doing it. But again, it's enormous strength. Sometimes I think it's one day too late, one sin too late, one drama too late. But then, it is better late than never. We say we're better safe than sorry. And so, sister, I appreciate this. Why? A lot of women are facing this. Like I said, it's both ways, but we're talking to a man today. We're faced with the cheating of a man. So when it comes to that of a lady, I would equally stamp my hand on the table or my foot on the floor and say, you know what, it is as bad. I always say something. Men's cheating is that bad and horrible. When it comes to that of a woman, it is not just bad, it's an abomination. But that is, again, tricky because women will be like, oh, that's discrimination, but that's topic for another day. So again, sister, I appreciate the fact that you took out time to talk about this. You took out time to be vulnerable and say, you know what, let me rather shout out and express myself. Just maybe I can find a solution, and hopefully what I tell you will be your last bus stop. You asked the question, when is it okay to leave your marriage? Now, I'll ask that later on, but let me say this. In all of your explanation, what I've noticed is everybody is seemingly speaking on your behalf. Your friend, matter of fact, you got here because your friend encouraged you to do it. You wouldn't have taken the desire, had the zeal, or even if you had the courage to come to me and say that, or another counselor out there, to say this is what you're facing. So your friend is either speaking, your husband is either speaking, maybe your children are speaking, your family is, his family is, and then there's a church that is speaking, there's a community. What are you saying? Why is it that it is seemingly so difficult for you to take a decision for yourself? Because that's what's happening. Even to get a partner for yourself, it required some other person. It's telling. There's an underlying factor of either maybe somebody dealing with insecurities, somebody dealing with, self-esteem issues, somebody who's lost trust in living, somebody who is not so very confident about themselves. Because if you know who you are, know your limits, your boundaries, you wouldn't need to ask when it's right to leave something you are facing. Because I can sit here and tell you all of what you should do, but you're still the one in this marriage and you know where it hurts the most. So I'm trying to point you towards that. Why is everybody speaking but you? What are the boundaries you have set? I failed to see it in your write-up. With everything you said. You see, and again, human beings, it is how much tolerance you have of their excesses that will determine if they will redo it. Oh, we know how to take as many chances as you give. We know how to shift the landmark. We know how to exaggerate. When you give a smile, they want a handshake. Your husband has seen you leave the home 4 times, and other persons have come to get you back. He is not seeing somebody who is grounded on whatever it is, an ultimatum you have put, boundaries you have set. He knows he can have his way and get back at it. I'm telling you. You see the same husband of yours? He would not dare do that with another woman. It is how much of tolerance you've had for his excesses that he dares to keep doing this and even throw it at your face. It is how much of it you have let him get away with it. I'll tell you this for free. There are other women out there. Cheating once is a deal breaker. And if a man is intentional and wants this institution that he is so built with these lovely kids he's been blessed with, he is going to rethink his stance. But he will not do it in your case. Do you know why? You would always come back. I didn't hear you say that he came begging on his knees. I didn't hear you say he promised never to do it. Because those are even sometimes they would say that just to deceive us. But no, I didn't hear you say that. What I heard you say is other people begged on his behalf and you went back. Because there was a part of you that wanted to go back. It's not about the people. So you might as well be honest about this and say it is your tolerance, excessive tolerance, that has actually compounded the situation to where it is right now. So the last thing I would say, with your analysis, you said you prayed, you cried, you fasted, you've done all of what the regular African married woman would do. And I commend you for that. Prayer is a thing that I recommend. Matter of fact, it should be a way of life for every Christian. So I'm not in any way bashing you or ruling that out. But this is what I would say. Prayer will not take the place of principles. There's a place of prayers. There's the place for principles. Meaning, you cannot pray yourself out of a situation that principles were broken. So you would fix the principles and prayer would handle maybe the spiritual aspects or one or two things, but as long as the principle was broken, that principle would have to be fixed. And so where does prayer come in? Prayer would come in where both of you consciously want to fix that. He is intentional at leaving that setup, that lifestyle. And you two can hold your hand back in covenant and say, this is what we need help with. This is what we're facing, Father. He is willing to go through the mind. He's intentional. Otherwise, you would cry yourself to sleep all night. You would pray all night. You would fast and do all of what you've been doing. And it would feel like it is getting worse. This is not me, again, like I said, saying prayer does not work. It will not work over broken principles. And the person who is propagating this, who is perpetuating this, would have to be part of this prayer for it to work. So understand the dynamics. So sometimes we break principles and want to cover them with prayer. And I think this goes to every other person, not just in the aspect of cheating or infidelity or stuff. There's a whole lot of principles that we break and then we cover them with prayer. And because God is not an emotional God, sadly, He is only going to look at you and maybe use the Spirit to say that you will still go through that route, do the right thing for it to be fixed. One final thing to say about this situation. I realize you mentioned that he was proposed to you by your friend, and because of that you trusted your friend and you went with everything. There's a chance that there was lack of courtship. Is there a chance that you did not properly date this person? I'm assuming anyways, because you're not here to answer that. Because on one hand, there could be, I didn't properly date this person, so I did not see these red flags. Because trust me, people do not just wake up and change. It is how much of these they've practiced in the years. Like I always say, what you tolerate in courtship, it is amplified in marriage. So was there a chance you didn't date him enough to see the side? Or on the other hand, you dated him, you saw all of this, but then, like we women always do, I'm going to change him. The most deception I've known as far as relationships and marriage is concerned, being able to change an adult. you can't. Is there a chance that had happened? That you saw him, he looked at women like he looked at them now, and you thought, okay, I am the madame. So I might as well just, he's after all, I'm the last bus stop, I'm his airport. That's where he would settle. Because it's typical of most women. I'll tell you this. We see the red flags. we ignore them and we tell ourselves he's going to change, or when we get married, I'm going to transform him. Sadly, sadly, and sadly. Let's now zoom in conclusion to the innocent parties impacted by the toxic home environment. What are the potential consequences? Diminished self-worth, chronic stress, children learning that suffering in silence is normal, emotional instability, the perpetration of unhealthy relationship patterns, and long-term trauma. This is clearly a complex issue. Let's explore some solutions immediately after the break.
Yo, Echo, let me break it down for y'all. No fluff, no filters, just the real deal. We got a queen out here, mind racing, chasing answers she's been denied for far too long. And here's the list of what she's been up against. Betrayal and misplaced trust. A life tangled in betrayal and misplaced trust. Chronic infidelity and male accountability. A husband moving recklessly. Breakdown of social trust in intermediaries. Cultural and religious pressures against divorce. Holding her hostage, preaching stay no matter what, even when that what is abuse. And lastly, the children as silent casualties of marital toxicity who will end up carrying scars they never deserved. But hold up, here's the hook, the moment you've all been waiting for. Those answers, those breakthroughs, that reversal, it's rolling up right now. Everybody, let's ride.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is about that time where we get to propose solutions, and hopefully our anonymous sister get one or two things from this as a take-home message. And again, hopefully, those of you who are navigating similar paths would pick a thing or two from this. First thing I would propose is for you to set boundaries. Now, setting boundaries is not you overreacting. This is you protecting your space, this is you protecting your peace, and this is you saying enough. Now, when you set boundaries, usually it does not come across as okay with many people, and especially in this case. Initially, he would get to resist it, but if you stand your grounds and insist on that, you realize that he would come around. Because like as Smith mentioned, he is taking advantage of the fact that you have not set these boundaries, you do not have any limits, you are just open to him coming back each time you run away. So if you start setting these boundaries, it is a show of respect for yourself. And so again, communicate this with him properly, because it doesn't just suffice for you to set boundaries. You set the boundaries and you let him know, just so that he does not assume, just so that he doesn't come and start pushing these boundaries and say, you know what is happening. Properly communicating to him. Let him know how this has made you feel. Let him know how the level at which this is an issue, an ultimatum, if you have to. And let him, at that stage, get to choose between you, his loving family, or all of what he enjoys outside. So the second thing I'll propose is therapy. And I cannot overemphasize this. And when I say therapy, I'm not saying you, the woman, you go seek therapy by yourself, because again, we have the tendency of wanting to do it by ourselves. It takes two to tango. It has to be the two of you consciously and intentionally doing it. If a cheating man refuses help or denies the problem, no amount of love, sex, or patience will change him. And I say this because a lot of women think, oh, when I give him more love, more sex, and more patience, he is going to change. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Change is only possible when he accepts responsibility, when he seeks help, and consistently proves new behavior. Without that, it is a vicious cycle that is never ending. The next thing I'll tell you, divorce is indeed an option. But then it is not in my place to tell you whether or not to do it. I say it's an option because yes, marriage is a beautiful institution that is worth sacrificing for. You would have to do your best, do your most to see that your marriage thrives. However, when it becomes toxic, when it starts getting to the level where it is life-threatening, you want to rethink your stance. A one-time betrayal is a wound. A repeated betrayal is a lifestyle. When cheating becomes a habit, every sorry is just a pause before the next blow. A marriage can never heal in the same environment that keeps hurting it. I need you to let that sink into you. Marriage cannot heal in the same environment that keeps hurting it. Sometimes walking away is not quitting. It is choosing life over slow death. I hope this sinks deep into you. The next thing I'll propose as a solution, just to answer to the question that you asked earlier on. Mommy Daddy, when is it convenient to leave? I'm not the one to answer this, but let me show you pointers. When you stop complaining and start acting. When the opinions of others will really not matter as much. When you start loving and respecting yourself and putting boundaries for others to respect them. When you have to start prioritizing your health and your sanity. When you start choosing you first. Only then will it be convenient. Again, I say, I can't make a decision for you. You are the one to do that. After you must have gone through all of this, and then you make an informed decision without necessarily consulting anybody. Next thing I propose, and I say this as a Christian, which you are, there's a place of prayers. I know that while I was analyzing, I said that prayers will not take away the place of principles. But then this time around, you are not just praying. You are intentionally praying and understand why you're praying. But this prayer will not just be limited to you. It is going to be two persons who are intentional about fixing this marriage. It's going to be two persons who have put their hands together and said, you know what, we want to break the chain. We have messed up this institution, this covenant relationship we have with God. And we need to re-invite him again. Your husband has to be part of this prayer. You can't be praying by yourself. No, you can't do that. You have to invite again that peace and that sanctity that initially was. But he has to play an integral part of this. Otherwise, again, like I said, it's going to be breaking principles and trying to use prayers to cover for that. Prayers answers. It does. It works. It's a default position for Christians. You should do that. However, like I said, it takes two to do it. And he has to be part of it. And my final word is proposal. And this is what I'll propose is lastly, prayerfully consider what it is you're after. I still insist on prayers. Regardless of the fact that I said it's going to take two of you to get into it intentionally. And that prayers will not take the place of principles. When once principles are broken, you will not replace them with prayers. And even if you want to pray, it is going to be an intentional husband, a repentant one, asking for the mercy of God, holding your hands and saying that, you know what, there's a covenant that was broken, and I take full responsibility of it. And we're again officially re-inviting God into this union because I was the one who stepped out of it. But I want the sanity of this institution again. That way you're not just going to pray, you will pray consciously, intentionally, and that way you would even have a way out of this. There will be a leading in your spirit that will tell you if to go out of this or stay. Those are the things that prayer will take care of. Those are the things that prayer would answer. Otherwise, you're going to be in a clanging cymbal. Remember one thing, and I'll say this. You are not just a wife. You are not just a mother. You are a woman of valor. So do not let anyone, not traditions, not the opinions of others, in the name of marriage, rewrite your worth. Okay, we trust that you and others in similar circumstances would consider these solutions that we've offered. Stay tuned as we return to hear from the public via the comment section. Don't go nowhere.
The storm has been exposed. Here's the recap of the solutions laid out, loud and clear. Here's what our intentional host had to say, and it's powerful. Women empowerment. She said women need to rise and empower themselves by standing strong and standing up for their rights. No more excuses for cheating. Women should stop excusing male infidelity and demand accountability. Hold matchmakers accountable. Every intermediary has a role. Their accountability is not optional, it's a must. Smash patriarchal stigma. Society should stop glorifying suffering, because everyone deserves safety, respect, and freedom to choose. Therapy and counseling. And lastly, as we can see, seeking counseling is a powerful solution to many social challenges, especially in marriage. Queens rise, culture listen, love, respect, truth. Let's go.
Welcome to the comment section where we have to select just a few of the many comments that our delicious have been proposing. And so we start off with the first commenter, Ta Maureen. Hello, Ta Maureen. How are you? Ta Maureen Kemji says, my dear, if you are financially stable, then consider these two options. Either to leave while still healthy and take care of your kids, or stay and be ready to be infected with all manner of STDs he will bring to you. I know a man who was like yours. When he discovered he was infected with HIV and the wife wasn't, of course he stopped touching the wife for long. He threatened the wife at night with a knife, slept with her, and infected her. So Sherry decide. As sad as that is, this is the reality of a lot of people out there. And so Tata Maureen gave her 1 cent. Again, it's up to us. Next commenter, Atia Zitashus. Hello Zitashus, how are you? Zitashus says, don't leave your marriage. Create time for yourself. Leave the kids to him. Go for a little vacation, sister. Take care of yourself. Dress as if you have no kids, but decent. Go out, have fun. Outside is not better, sis. Don't think if you leave, you will find hope. No, you can still be fine while you're married. I mean, we welcome every comment on here. And again, it's your opinion on that. The tricky part about it could be you go out there, meet somebody that is all crazy, just like Stachus is saying. It's a good point. So thank you so much, Stachus, for that contribution. I appreciate that. Kate B. Inquine is saying that, please, those of you who are not married like me, do not give advice to this lady. Kate, take it easy, please. Kate says that do not give advice. You will never understand what she's going through until you experience it. Do not be too quick to give her wrong advice. Please, let our married woman here talk to her. For me, I'll only say courage to her. I appreciate you, Kate B. And I love the fact that you think, yes, experience should be the best teacher. However, there are people who can chip in a thing or two, not necessarily because they've been there, but of course they've watched and they've observed some of these things, and so of course they can chip in. So we are not saying the singles cannot contribute. They can contribute, but they should be cautious with their comments, okay? So awesome. Next commenter, Elvin Mfuto. Elvin Mfuto says, make yourself useful to yourself and not to him. Most importantly, deny him access to your body. That is, if only he is a providing father. If not, you leave. So Elvin is saying that as long as he's providing, keep taking the provision. However, deny him access to your body and focus on yourself. Well, that sounds like a good thing to say. How feasible is that? Again, it's up to our sister listening to decide whatever it is that she wants to do. So that's it. I mean, we have to always limit the comments to just 4 because we cannot possibly read every one of it. I'm certain that most of you want your comments to be read, but just keep on commenting, and of course, Sunday is going to be yours. When we come back, we will be looking at the nuggets for the day before we wrap up today's show. Don't go nowhere.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying up true to this level where we have our nuggets for the day to round up our show. Number 1 nugget, cheating will remain bad no matter how many people are doing it. Wrong is wrong no matter how many people are involved in it. Pornography will destroy your life, not just sexually, not just physically, but it has the potential of ruining even your vision, spirit, body, and soul. Desist from it. The next nugget, it takes two people to make marriage work. No matter how good and hardworking you are, if your partner is not, it becomes counterproductive to your marriage. But let me just say this. Marriage is supposed to be a shelter, but when betrayal moves in, it becomes a storm. You can patch the roof 1,000 times, but if the one inside keeps tearing it open, the rain will never stop. Next nugget. Marriage is not the end of the world. Do your best to keep your home, but when it becomes life-threatening, please seek counseling. And if it's still not working, run for your life. I would say that. For those of you who insist on it has to be there for the children, there's a time when you have to leave for the sake of the children. Next nugget. Know who you are marrying and do not assume they will change. Because most women do this. You get married to him with all the flaws and you start insisting they will change. Marriage does not change people. It rather amplifies who they are. Next nugget. Prayerfully seek a partner, but principally consider the options. You can't depend on others for a lifetime decision as marriage. You would pray for God to guide your path, but then you still have things that it will be up to you to decide if you want or not. And so this thing about God getting partners for us, God can do it, but the bulk of the work still rests on you. And lastly, economically and financially empower yourself, just so you're not trapped into a setup that you do not want, simply because of the benefits of the gains of it or the material needs of yours. This case reminds us that marriage is not just about love, it's about respect, it is about trust and accountability. Betrayal affects everyone, the betrayed, the betrayer, the children, and even the extended family and friends. Families, friends, and religious leaders must support healing, not just enforce silence. And for those living in pain, the courage to set boundaries or walk away is not weakness. It is self-respect and protection for the entire family. True change comes from awareness, responsibility, and action. And everyone has a role to play in creating healthier and more honest relationships. Until next time, I remain your intentional host, Deli Singer. Please do not forget to subscribe on all our social media handles, and please keep sending in your exceptional cases. Stay blessed.
Hello, hello, hello. Audience, Deli. Hello, hello. Tune in now. No